Fourth quarter business confidence results are out and they're quite encouraging. We're seeing continued recovery in sentiment, which points to a continued improvement in economic activity. Can you take us through some of the salient features of the fourth quarter results?
Yes, so business confidence has now risen to 40 index points. This is 35 index points higher than its low of 5 index points experienced in the second quarter of this year. Underpinning this has been a remarkable improvement in confidence in the wholesale and retail as well as new vehicle dealer sector, with pretty good but slightly more muted improvements in the manufacturing and building sectors.
I think for me what was quite interesting in the results is that your retailers as well as your wholesalers, sentiment is now at 50 or above 50, that neutral level. But we are seeing quite historical levels in sentiment across all the 5 sectors that we survey. What's driving this, continued improvement, and can it be sustained?
This is definitely a consumption-based improvement. You see, as we said, retail sector, new vehicles. Obviously, your new vehicle sector really moved to, historic lows when they weren't allowed to operate at all during parts of lockdown. So they've come up from as low down as you can go. However, you are also seeing improved consumption as, other parts of the economy have been opened up. At the strictest part of lockdown, you couldn't buy clothing, you couldn't buy hardware. There were a number of goods and services that were not available for consumption, which are now available and so being consumed. So it's definitely positive in that sense. That we are seeing people going out and spending, and so boosting these sectors.
That's definitely positive. Now, this consumption-led boost in sentiment, can we see it then driving the manufacturing sentiment going forward? Do we have any concerns about, the manufacturing sector, especially with the lockdowns that we're seeing in our exporting countries?
It is very difficult to tell what is going to happen. As we know, it's been a rather uncertain year, and there are still quite a few uncertainties ahead of us, despite continued good news on the vaccine front. From a consumption point of view, domestically, some of the boost we expect has come from government support to people who have found themselves unemployed or unable to work as a result of the pandemic. However, the support is due to come to an end quite soon. That kind of boost to consumption could taper off fairly soon. What we've also seen happening as the economy is opening up is that unemployment continues to rise. And so you've got a number of people who are going to find themselves without jobs, which could further add pressure to the levels of consumption we've seen. So it is quite a fragile situation, especially from a domestic point of view. Globally, it's also relatively fragile. We've seen the UK going into further lockdown. The US cases have risen quite dramatically. These are important trading partners for South Africa. And if their economy slows down in response, demand for our exports, which has been improving along with global economic recovery, is then also going to decline. And if that happens, then demand for our manufactured goods declines both domestically as well as internationally. However, we can always hope that we see a more permanent upturn globally, which really helps ignite our industrial machine, and that structural reform in the country also helps push increased investment and employment in the economy sooner rather than later.
Yeah, definitely. Government has to get cracking on the reforms to attract investment and grow the economy. And speaking about the economy, the results, the bottom line, the results are particularly encouraging for fourth quarter activity. And, any closing remarks in terms of what this means for fourth quarter GDP?
We do think that this is a very positive sign for fourth quarter GDP, a continued improvement relative to our low of the second quarter. But again, I think the concern is more about the sustainability and how much further into 2021 we will see this extend.